anything special about the teachers in Delaware?
I wouldn't say.
Plan that they
I wouldn't say. I'm not sure of Delaware's instructional model, but in terms of the teachers, and I know teachers in Delaware, I help parents in Delaware, it's nothing radically different.
Okay.
It's nothing radically different. You know, here's the thing, Sister Ann. Until we open our own schools, we have to master how to protect our children in these schools. It's the art of war. Tomorrow's training is the art of war for the miseducation machine. That's all it is. The ways and means of succeeding despite the opposition.
Anybody that wants to call in, the number is 410-481-1010. And you made an interesting point at one point. And it was something to the effect of, in terms of keeping our children down, not that it's a little radical, but the white women may not have a vested interest.
They don't.
Okay. Unpack that somewhat.
Let me unpack that. Let me get this one time. I'm sorry about that.
Okay.
There we go. I would never say that every white woman has it out for black kids. I know some good white teachers. I've had some good white teachers. You understand me?
Yeah. And we probably had the same one because we were
in
Louisville.
Exactly. Right? I've had some good white teachers. But here's the issue. It all relates to your definition of education. In order to answer the question, can white teachers teach black children? I first have to ask you, what is your definition of education? If your definition of education is reading, writing, and arithmetic, yes, they can. If your definition of education is reading, literacy, if education equals literacy for you, yes, white people can teach black children. If literacy is all you're looking for. But if you are looking for the bolstering of self-esteem, the fostering of self-confidence, if you are looking for a black child to develop the resolve to be able to succeed against the odds, the biggest odd being racism, white teachers cannot teach black children how to survive, because a victim of racism cannot ever be properly educated by a perpetrator or beneficiary of racism, because they cannot understand the bottom of the apple from which you're forced to chew. And you can't totally understand the top of the apple from which they're able to see. Only someone who has walked the life of a black boy or girl can prepare a black boy or girl for success. So you can use them for certain subjects, Sister Ann. I'm not saying they can't be in a black school, but I'm saying if your end product is a self-loving, self-respecting, committed to the black community, nation-building, Pan-African, unapologetically African student, white people cannot produce that for you.
My God. Well, let's take a call.
All right.
Because I know that, and you just got the lesson on the board. I didn't. So
all right, let's go to the phone lines. We got Brother Carlos. You are live on a Power Hour with Sister Ann and Dr. Umar. How we doing today?
Brother Carlos?
Brother Carlos.
Uh-oh.
Turn my phone line on. How do I do that?
Let's get the engineer in here.
Hit on with a phone on. Hit on with a phone on. Where I see phone? Right here?
Let's see.
Brother Carlos.
Hello.
There we go. How you doing, Brother Carlos? Good Garvey Day. You're live with Sister Ann. Make sure you say good morning to the Queen.
Oh, yeah.
Good morning, Carlos.
What's on your mind, brother? Maryland, I believe, if I'm not mistaken, Maryland isn't much better than Washington. They're right around the general area. I got to double check that list. I only paid attention to where my trainings were, but I can go back to that list and check it out. Appreciate you, Brother Carlos. Okay. Betsy DeVos, Donald Trump's current Secretary of Education, was put there to continue to defund, underfund public schools in predominantly black neighborhoods. Now, let me say this. Charter schools are a part of the gentrification movement. Let me say it one more time. Charter schools are a part of the gentrification movement. Let me say it one more time. Charter schools are a part of the gentrification movement. In other words, Sister Ann, if you have a black elected official that's constantly championing charter schools, guess what they're really doing? They're helping white folk take back the black community, disguised as giving black children a better education.
Okay. So you got me on that one.
You follow me? In other words, I'm an elected official. I'm in Philadelphia City Council. Hypothetically.
Talk to me like I'm in elementary school.
Exactly. Okay. So I'm your city councilman. And I'm running all through the black neighborhood talking about we're going to open up 3 new charter schools right here in North Philadelphia. And all the black parents are like, yes, new charter schools, brand new. What you don't realize is those charter schools are going to be white ran, white controlled with a 75% white employee base. And then those white folks who work at these 3 charter schools that the Negro politician is opening up are going to move into that neighborhood, buy their houses there, buy up the real estate there. And guess what, Sister Ann? 5-10 years into the charter school, the neighborhood don't even look like it was. It was black, now it's white. And your child can't even afford to go to the charter school no more because they got priced out that neighborhood with the property taxes. Charter schools are the best weapon of gentrification. Why you don't find charter schools in white suburbs? Why you don't find charter schools in white suburbs? Because charter schools are a ethnic cleansing inner city gentrification weapon. That's why. Am I damning black charter schools? No, I'm not. Because I work with black charter schools. They do a good job, okay? You don't have to throw out the baby with the bathwater. But let us still recognize that this is something that was not meant for black people. It's no different than when you look at hip hop. And you say, does hip hop benefit the black community? Hell no. Now, there might be some hip hop artists that do good things with their music, right? But as a movement, does hip hop benefit black people? Hell no. It does nothing but advertise mass incarceration. That's all it does, right? Same thing with charter schools. We got some good charter schools. We should support them. Ran by black folks, right? But is the charter school movement intended to help black kids? Hell no. And as far as the Negro and the coon, I don't name names, but the difference between a Negro and a coon is they're both sellouts. But the Negro is innocent, Sister Ann, in his or her ignorance. In other words, you might think white people are smarter. You might think they're more attractive. You might think Jesus is white because that's what you've been taught. You can't fault somebody because that's how they're taught. As a child is taught, so will be his thoughts, right? That's the Negro. He's innocent in his ignorance. The coon is not innocent in his ignorance. The coon knows Jesus ain't white, but will say Jesus is white because he'll get something for it. The coon know that black people are the original mothers and fathers of this universe, but will act like we're not to please white folks. The coon knows the truth, but the coon will deliberately act like a Negro in order to get some pennies from massa's table.
So that sounds like the guy that, what was the only black Republican that said Trump did nothing wrong. And incidentally...
That's a coon.
All right, now, give me your feelings on that guy getting the award, Rush Limbaugh.
What award did he get? What award did he get? I know who he is. Martin Luther King? No way.
Martin Luther King.
No way.
Medal. No, during the speech, I didn't watch the speech, so anybody can help me with it. He received the Medal of Honor during the
Rush Limbaugh?
Rush Limbaugh.
He's the most notorious radio racist in America.
Yeah, he got a medal he got the same award that Obama gave Biden.
I'm not sure what that is.
Honor. I'm not sure.
I'm gonna look it up, but that's insane.
He did. That
man is insane. That should have never happened.
Did you watch that?
I didn't see that. Nah.
I didn't see.
I'm gonna look it up now.
Either.
You gave me some homework.
Yeah, it is. Well, let's get another.
Let's go back to the calls. We have John. Good morning, John or Gene. Who am I speaking with? Good morning. Are you there?
Well,
they might have dropped. Let's go to Tony. Good morning, Tony. You're on the Power Hour with Sister Ann and Dr. Umar. Are you there, my brother?
Yeah, I'm here. I think that medal was the Congressional Medal of Freedom or something like that.
For what? For being the most notorious racist on radio? How you doing today, brother? Oh, no, sir. No, sir, my brother. And I want to thank you for that call, Brother Tone. I want to thank you for that call. And here's how I would respond to Brother Tony's comment. He is correct. We do bear responsibility for what's happening to us. But our responsibility is purely on the side of solving the problem, not creating it. I want to make this very clear, Sister Ann, because our people get confused when we talk about responsibility and accountability, right? Responsibility and accountability. Who's responsible for poor schools in Baltimore and in D.C. and in Richmond? The white power structure is. There is no debating that. We don't control the schools. We don't staff the schools. We don't run the schools. We don't make policy for the schools. There's no way you can be responsible for an institution that you do not control, you do not own, you do not run, and for whose infrastructure you do not create. It is white racism that destroyed the schools. Now, to Tony's point, Sister Ann, here's where we differ. I agree with what he said, but I disagree with him attributing the failure of the school to parents. No, the system destroyed the school. But here's where I agree with him. We are 100% accountable for fixing the school, Sister Ann. Do you follow what I'm saying? So if he says, listen, they messed these schools up. They messed up the schools in Baltimore. They messed up the schools in D.C. They messed up the schools in Richmond, Norfolk. I got you. Now, we as a people are responsible for fixing education. I can agree with you. In other words, stop making black parents responsible for the failing school. Make the black community responsible for changing those schools around.
Wow. Well, how about the irresponsible parenting he talked about? Because there is something to be said about having children early.
I agree with you, but why are we having children early? Because in the 1970s and 80s, they started mass incarcerating black men after they destroyed the economic foundation of the black community by taking all the factories out and eliminating the trade skill programs in the high schools. They made black men unemployed and unemployable. We broke the law, start selling drugs, and they started mass warehousing us in America's prisons. There would be no teenage pregnancy crisis if there was not a black male mass incarceration crisis. There would be no teenage pregnancy crisis if there was not a black male mass incarceration crisis. So if you want to end teenage pregnancy, give these girls their fathers back. That's what you do. But I'm sick and tired of a racist, hypocritical United States government, and I'm sick and tired of racist, hypocritical neoliberal whites, and I'm sick and tired of racist, hypocritical black bourgeoisies who keep on blaming single black mothers for problems that existed before those black mothers were born. You see, if you want to end teenage pregnancy, take the black fathers out of the prison and put them back in the home with a livable wage job. If Barack Obama could bail out Wall Street, if this man can bail out filthy rich white males as his first act of office, why can't we bail out black men from prison and bail them back into the lives and homes of their women and children? The government created this problems. Don't blame black women and don't blame black men. The government did this to us. But yes, we are responsible, as the most honorable Marcus Messiah Garvey would say, for solving our own problems ourselves.
Good Lord. But I tell you what, when they do have the children younger, they do seem to have less of the diseases that we have to worry about when you get a little bit older having children. So I'm going to give them that. Yeah.
The issue with the teenage pregnancy, quickly, Sister Ann, is when a child has a child, neither one of them are done receiving the psychological resources they need to become healthy, functioning human beings, right? The 3-year-old doesn't have the psychological resources to go and get the love and affection that they need. But her 17, 16-year-old mom does. So the 17, 16-year-old mom will leave the 3-year-old grandchild with the grandmom while she go and get her needs met from her boyfriend, love, attention, nurture, things she needed from her own father. That 3-year-old can't get that, but what the 3-year-old can get is sexually molested. You see, what the 3-year-old can get is emotionally neglected and abused. You see, that's the issue with teenage pregnancy. It keeps this self-perpetuating cycle of psychological unhealthiness.
My gosh. I mean, just if anybody wants to call in, the number is 410-481-1010.
We got another one. You want to go to him?
Yeah, let's see what's up.
All right.
So we can get him on.
Good Garvey Day, Brother Jason. You're live on a Power Hour with Sister Ann and the Prince of Pan-Africanism. What's going on, my brother? Got you. Thank you for that call, Jay, and I'm about to answer that question, my brother. When you talk about children in the foster care system, they don't have a protection advocate, Sister Ann. In other words, your mother's not there, your father's not there, your aunt, your uncle, your godmom, your godpop. They're not there to protect you. You are 100% totally property of the state. You are a baby slave. That's what you are. And because these systems are all about making money and exploiting children and justifying why you have those children in the first place. Let me say that again, Sister Ann. Justifying why you have these children in the first place. And one of the best ways to justify why you have so many black children in foster care is by doping them up, misdiagnosing them up. The reason why they're with us is because he got ADHD and conduct disorder and a learning disability and emotional disturbance. And he needs Risperdal, and he needs Vyvanse, and he needs Concerta, and he needs Adderall. So they make our children look worse than what they are because the funding is based on the level of pathology. Let me say that again. The funding is based on the level of pathology. So you make the child look as worse as you possibly can, as worse as they can be, so you can get as much money as possible. There is no mental health system in America. There's only a mental health exploitation system in America. Good morning, Charles. You are live on a Power Hour with Sister Ann and Dr. Umar Johnson. Excellent question, because that's the heart and soul of what we do as certified school psychologists. So let's say your child, and let me first, because folks are constantly asking for the number, 410-481-1010. That's 410-481-1010. Now, your child gets referred for a psychological evaluation to determine if there is a disability that may require special ed. A standard school psychological battery of tests include intelligence tests, achievement tests, which will be your reading, writing, math, listening, speaking, all of those. So intelligence testing, achievement testing, those are the main two. And then there is some sort of a visual motor assessment to determine if the child has any eye-hand coordination issues. And then there is some sort of a behavioral measure to see if the behavior is beyond normal limits. And then there's some sort of a psychological measure to make sure there's no psychological issues outside of learning that could be affecting learning. And then there's an adaptive behavior measure to see if the child is developing within adequate limits in areas that are necessary for survival. So communication, daily living, self-help, social skills. That's your battery. IQ, achievement, behavior, psychology, adaptive, visual, motor. And if there's anything additional, so if the kid is being tested for autism, there will be some sort of an autistic assessment. If they're being tested for emotional disturbance, there will be some sort of emotional disturbance measure. But the biggest special ed disability is the reading disability. And the assessment, the achievement assessment and the intelligence assessment are primary for determining the learning disability. So your daughter gets a 100 IQ score. That's normal range. She gets a 80 on her reading. Now, an 80 is a little low, right? We want her to be between 90 and 110, which is normal. She got an 80. But let me ask you a question. If your daughter got an 80 standard score on the reading test, would you consider her to have a reading disability? Neither would I, because that's a low B. We want it higher, but clearly not disabled. Well, guess what? Under the United States Special Ed Code, your daughter can be classified as reading disabled with a standard score of an 80 on the psychological assessment because that 80 was 20 points lower than her IQ score. It's what's called a significant difference, and that significant difference is how special ed operated from its inception in 1975 until George W. Bush reauthorized it in 2004. And even though he added a response to intervention component that allows us to look at other things before we slap your child with a learning disability label, schools still have the right to use what is called the ability achievement discrepancy model. And the ability achievement discrepancy model, Sister Shelley, is a model that says if the achievement score is 15 points or more lower, 15 points or greater lower than the ability score, you can conclude that this child is learning disabled. And that's how they swelled up the special ed classes for black children. The learning disability has been a hoax and a con game.
So how do you determine a child is learning disabled before they enter kindergarten or first grade? I mean, autism is normally picked up before 3 or around 4-ish.
I'm going to disagree with that. As an expert in autism, although children can be classified before 3, you had better take your time and come to the conclusion that a child is autistic, because I've had many children who were misdiagnosed as autistic at 3, 4, and 5 because you can't quite be certain that it is what it appears to be. It could be a hearing problem. It could be a trauma problem. It could be a brain damage issue. It could be a selective mutism. It could be hearing loss. There's a lot of problems that can look like autism. So what I always recommend that parents do is take your time. There's no cure for autism, so there's no need to rush the classification. And if you rush the classification and get your child labeled as autistic as 3, and you find out at 12 that they were not, look at all the years they were miseducated because you would not exercise patience. Take your time before coming to these conclusions. And that's why we want everybody to be at the John Wesley AME Zion Church, 1615 14th Street, 1615 14th Street in Washington, D.C. for the Maryland, Virginia, and D.C. Black Parent Know Your School Rights training from 9 a.m. to 9 p.m. Get your tickets at drumarjohnson.com.
Well, I'm in Delaware. I'm not coming to D.C. I'm in Delaware.
I heard that.
I want to get stuck on the autism thing.
Let me do this, Sister Shelley. We got some other callers, my love, so we won't be able to continue that conversation right now, but let's pick it up a little later. And feel free to give me a ring, Queen, because you're in Delaware. You know we got the school in Delaware, the Frederick Douglass Marcus Garvey Academy. Maybe you could be of some help there. And anyone who needs to reach me can do so at 8444 Dr. Umar. That's 8444 DRUMAR. Thank you for the call, Queen. Good morning, Brother Andrew. You are live with Sister Ann and the Prince of Pan-Africanism on the Hour of Power. Yes, I follow you. I follow you. It's what it sounds like it's saying. What it sounds. Yes, sir. What it sounds like it's saying is that the uninformed black parent becomes weaponized against their own child. Let me say it again. The uninformed parent becomes weaponized against their own child. And thanks for that call, Brother Andrew. We're going to keep on going. Next, we're going to go to Brother Elijah. Good morning, Brother Elijah. You're live on the Hour of Power. Talk to me, brother. You know what, Elijah? I'm not sure. I will have to look back at the list for Colorado. Unfortunately, that's not one of the places where I'll be coming for the training because I didn't get a response there from the community to make it happen. But I need to look at Colorado. And then, of course, even if it's a high ranking, you still have to pull out or piece out, rather, how well the black children are doing. Thank you for that call, Elijah. We're going to run.
Thank you.
And now we're going to go to Brother Randy. Good morning. You're on the Hour of Power with Sister Ann and the Prince of Pan-Africanism. Talk to me. Shoot me a text, brother. Shoot me a text. 215-989-9858. 215-989-9858. I want to talk to you, brother. Hopefully you come to the training tomorrow. And we're going to run on that note there.
Yep, and thanks for that work, too.
Yes, indeed. Thanks for that work, brother. We need that. But he's absolutely right, Sister Ann. The schools have now surpassed the street police in many cities. The schools have surpassed the street police for being the #1 referrals for new juvenile justice cases. Literally, it is a school to prison pipeline. Brothers and sisters, it's going down tomorrow. John Wesley AME Zion Church, 1615 14th Street in D.C., 9 to 9. Get your tickets at drumarjohnson.com. You can come and register on site, but you may not get a training guarantee. The training packet and whatever's left over will go to the people who register on site. No cost for children, but we don't recommend you bring them because we want you to be focused on the information. What you thinking, Sister Ann?
My goodness. I'm like, this is so much. We need 2 hours.
We need 2 hours of power.
We are right up against the time. I want to thank everybody that participated with
Absolutely.
this.
Great
As usual,
calls.
Dr.
Great calls.
Umar, thank you for your time. I'm getting used to being over here, not